Today, I want to share an interview with Terrence Talley. Terrence is one of the best communicators there are on planet Earth and an incredible guy who really cares about students. And he and I have spoken across the country to students and had a lot of conversations after those speaking engagements where students came up and told us some pretty tough things. It actually spawned a book that Terrence had an incredible idea for called Secrets Anonymous. And it is where students tell their stories so that other people can know that teenagers are going through the same kinds of things. I hope you enjoy my interview with Terrence Talley. All right, here we are with my good friend, Terrence Talley, who probably has the distinction of the man that I have shared a hotel room with the most in my life as we traveled and spoke.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And in case anybody's wondering, Terrence, I just want to say you're a great roommate. You know, clean, and you always take first shower, so that's good.
You know what? Right back, I feel like we room together really well. And then we always have like those night chats where we'll like dive into deep subjects, and then it's like, all right, time to go to bed.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of deep subjects, in addition to speaking across the country, you came up with the idea, which I thought was just a genius idea for a book. Explain a little bit how you came up with the idea and what the book is about.
Yeah. So the book is Secrets Anonymous. And so what it is basically we took secrets from across the country, because after an assembly is done, students will like write me some of their secrets, like these dark things that they've been going through. And sometimes it is pretty like ends on a positive note, how they got through it. But then there are some, and I'm sure you've even experienced as well, where it's just like, it's sad. And matter of fact, I think even in the book, I talked a little bit about that story where we went to that school and a kid came up with you with scars all over his arms. And so just dealing with stories like that. And so we took those stories and we divided it up into different sections. And so one section's like a section on abuse. And so you get to see literal student secrets that they had about abuse going on with them or in their family. And they're put in that book so students can read another student's secret and know that they're not alone with whatever one they're dealing with. And if they know they're not alone, then they know that there's hope for themselves. And so that was the whole idea. And just, I remember there was this one assembly and I got done, and this student wrote me a story, or wrote me what was going on in his life. And he talked about how he was 17 years old and he had an uncle molest him. And he just said that he felt so much shame, and he was like, the police did get involved, but he was just like, I can't talk about it with anybody, because he's just like, I just hate myself for it. And I remember I'm reading this and I'm like, how many other students have gone through this and they feel like they can't talk about it? They feel like they can't share about it. And that sort of like began the idea, and especially with my story as well, and not even my story, but with my brother's story, when my brother taking his life too, it just all kind of just came together, where it's like, I want to be able to share people's secrets, and I want people to know that doesn't matter what kind of secret you have, not only is there hope, but you are still loved through that. And so, yeah, that's how it came to be.
Well, and you know, you and I have spent a lot of time talking in front of students, and it's a monologue until it's over and students come down and talk to you. But I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear those conversations. And what were you surprised with the most about the book?
I was just surprised, like being able to pull all these things together, pull all these just notes, and like you were saying, we've gone to a lot of schools. I mean, how many students are we talking to? Just doing assemblies, just you and I. How many students have we come in contact with? And so I'm not surprised by by being surprised anymore.
Yeah, right.
Because every story is just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to you.
Yeah.
And I think being able to actually sit down and read some of them, and I'm going to be honest, like there were so many stories I had and still have within like my Instagram inbox. I couldn't get to all of them. And so matter of fact, the book publisher and a couple people on her team, we actually went through all the different stories in my my box or inbox, whatever, and Instagram, and just read different stories and picked each one out for different sections, and we still didn't get through all of them. And that to me was just, everyone was different and everyone had something to it. And going into the book, I always thought, you know what, maybe I don't have enough content, maybe this is not going to come together, but it just put itself together. And so that to me was the most surprising part.
So, you know, you talked a little bit about your brother, this kid's struggling with depression and suicide, with sexual, physical abuse, neglect, all kinds of things. And, you know, people who haven't seen what you do, I mean, you're a legend in your 30s for your ability to get up in front of students. It's true, to get up in front of students and create vulnerability in a room. But for the average person, how do they get somebody who they know is going through something, because they can tell something has changed or things are beginning to come? How do they get them to talk?
Right. I think it is just creating an atmosphere. Everybody always says that. I don't want to be one of those people who's like, yeah, here are 3 steps that you do it, and we're going to create. But it truly is, where I've learned from myself is, if I want you to be vulnerable, I'm going to be vulnerable too. And I'm going to tell you, hey, this is what's hurt me in the past, and be able to pick up on some of the things. If you notice somebody who may seem off, like you're like, I don't know, there's something, it seems like they're dealing with something. Don't just wait. Don't just be like, oh, I'm going to wait for them to come towards me. I'm going to make sure that I know before I go to them. Like, no, go approach them. Be honest. Be like, hey, I feel like you're really depressed today, or I feel like you're really like, just something's not right. Matter of fact, there's this book and it describes it really well. And it's this elementary book. And I wish I had it around me right now. And it talks about candles, and it takes place with all these different candles. And one candle, his light is dim. And another candle is like, hey, I see that your light is dim. And he's like, yeah, I have this cloud over me. Can't you see it? And he goes, no, I can't see your cloud, but I can tell your light's getting a little dimmer. And it just is all about just teaching kids at such a young age that you can help someone's light get brighter. And you don't have to necessarily experience what they've experienced to help them shine brighter, to help lift them up. And so that's what I would say, is just being able to find that way to connect to that person by sharing a piece of who you are. And even in the book, one of the candles talks about, like, I know what it feels like to have my light get dimmer, and somebody came to me. And we've all have those experiences where something's not right. Whether you have dealt with depression, whether you've dealt with abuse, or even somebody has died in your family, it gets to you. This is what people connect on. It's being real, not trying to drum up a story, but just be real.
Well, and you know, as you're talking, and you know, I've had a lot of the same experiences you had speaking to students. You know, a lot of times I've said to students, hey, you know, you got to tell somebody, you got to tell your parents, and students are reluctant to do that. And I just wonder what you would say to parents of teenagers who know they've tried to get their teenager to talk to them and it's not happening. How do they find somebody else and really have the courage to say, maybe I'm not the first step in openness here? And how do they use resources of other people around them? Who do they look for?
I really feel like this time right now has really taught me that, where it's like, I need a teacher in our lives. I can't, I'm too close to be able to be that teacher for my daughters right now, because yeah,
You're homeschooling now.
right. Yes. I'm homeschooling now. And both my wife and I were like, we're not teachers and we're too close to the situation. And I feel like that's even with dealing with, if they're dealing with depression or something that has happened. Yeah, of course, the door is open. But for a student going through things, it's like, oh, those are my parents. And so it's being able to create that atmosphere that says, you know what? I am encouraging you to go and talk to someone. And if you are involved in, I don't know where this is going to be shown, but if you're involved in your church community, then be able to go to some of those church leaders, to get them in with a youth group and be able to get to know their leader and say, hey, if they talk to you about something, just, you don't have to give me all the details, but just let me know. Be that ear for them, or being able to connect, whether it's even in sports, just making sure that you are doing your due diligence to see the people around them that could be that open door, that open ear for them, and connect with them that way and say, hey, you know what? I know your youth leader. They're weird, but it seems like you like them. Why don't you just go and talk to them for a little bit? And so
it's awesome. Hey, man, thank you so much for what you do and for this book. Where can people get this book?
Anywhere. They can get it on Amazon. They can get it at Barnes and Noble. Wherever books are sold, you can get that book.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible opportunity, and I would just, anybody that's out there, I would just really encourage you, if your student is struggling, if your teenager is struggling, a teenager in your life, maybe they're your niece, nephew, student, maybe they're your own kid, or just some kid that you care about, I would encourage you, get this book, because it could be a great step in creating that vulnerability and that openness when they start to realize, I am not the only person that's ever gone through this. Hey, thank you so much, Terrence. Thanks for everything you do. From our home in California to your basement in Wisconsin.
Well, this is where we live. This is the only room in our house.
That's awesome. Hey, man, thanks so much, and keep getting out there and doing it. And hey, listen, how can people contact you?
Yeah, you can definitely email me. My email is just Terrence, my name, at terrencetalley.com, or, all the social media jazz that we all have to be on that way as well.
Yeah, you're not hard to find.
No, absolutely not.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much, Terrence, and have an incredible day.
Oh, you too. Thanks, man.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Terrence Talley today. He is a great guy, an incredible communicator, and not a bad roommate if you have to share a hotel room with somebody. Listen, you should get his book for the teenager in your life. Maybe even read it yourself. And I have a special offer. Go to studentreach.org/uCoach book and sign up for our emailing list there. Don't worry, we don't spam you, but the first 3 people that sign up for that list, I will email you at that email address to get your address, and I will personally buy you a copy and send it directly to your house of Terrence's book. That's how good it really is. Even if you don't get a free one, get it for your teenager so that you can open up conversations that have been tough to have with your teenager as they see that everybody is going through the same kinds of things. All right, listen, that's it. I know you can be more awesome than you already are.